Morant with a running start. Elevates. Oh, it dunks. Oh, my goodness.
Tie game in overtime. Gasol will turn his heat. It's gone. Memphis on top. 7-10 remaining. Conley now with three. Count it. A 15-point lead for Memphis. And Blake Griffin gets into it on the floor with Randolph. Hard to tell if there are any punches being thrown under there, but Griffin took acceptance.
Adams going long. Morant. He hit it. John Morant. Insanity.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome to Grits and Grinds, a Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Grizzlies don't win edition. Grizzlies play an unbelievably weird and wild game against the Pelicans. My name is Keith Parrish. By the way, if you did not know, the Grizzlies on Wednesday night, on the second night of a back-to-back, play an outrageous basketball game against the Pelicans. The Grizzlies once again have a huge first half. They get up by 19 points. This is the fourth straight game the Grizzlies have had a 19-point lead. For the third straight game, their lead was completely erased. In those four games, unfortunately, they are just 2-2 overall. In the last four games, they've been ahead by 19 and also trailed by double digits in all of them. So the continued streak of just kind of odd games with huge swings continues. Of course, John Morant did not play. Luke Kennard, coming off 35 minutes played on Tuesday against the Trailblazers, did not play. Xavier Tillman did not play. My emotions for this game were very, very odd because I went into it on Wednesday thinking we're going to punt this game. I also was looking at the standings thinking, you know what? A Pelicans win, not that terrible. Yes, we want to wrap up the 2 seed, but I think we can wrap up the 2 seed without this game. I would prefer, like the Lakers, to fall down into the play-in and increase the odds that they just don't even make the playoffs. I thought maybe big picture, that was better for the Grizzlies. So on Wednesday, I was thinking, and I erroneously assumed that the team would probably punt this game. I was right that Kennard, and Tillman didn't play. I was surprised, frankly, that Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. suited up. So when I find out that, hey, we're starting Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks, Santi Aldama, Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm like, well, first of all, that's a pretty cool lineup. I guess a pretty good lineup. This is going to be a fun game. We're going to try to get the win. Sure, our backups were mainly rookies. Like the four subs, the four guys off the bench, it was three rookies and John Conchar. So again, I thought like, all right, maybe we're not going to go hard. Maybe we will even pull our guys after like a half or, maybe they won't play full minutes. But the Grizzlies get up, again, by 19 in the first half. They lead by 17 at halftime, score 69 points in the first half. And then they're up by 12 in the fourth quarter. They're up by 12 with about 8 minutes left. The Grizzlies get huge performances for most of the key players. Jaren Jackson Jr. scores 40. He's the first player in franchise history to have a game with 40 points and 4 blocked shots. Tyus Jones is awesome. Desmond Bane is great. Dillon Brooks has an awesome game. The bench does lots of cool things. The 3 rookie lineup extends the lead in the first half, plays great in the second half. Kenneth Alton Jr. does some stuff. Kennedy Chandler looks cool. We're up by 12 in the fourth quarter. And then all of a sudden the Pelicans go nuts. The Pelicans made 21 threes in the game, which is a lot, obviously. The Pelicans went 7 for 7 from 3 in the final 9 minutes of the fourth quarter. The last 15 minutes of the game, including overtime, they were 9 for 10 from 3. Trey Murphy was 6 out of 7 in that stretch. Herb Jones had a career-high 35 points and 5 made threes. Trey Murphy had his third game this season with 7 or more threes. But again, 6 out of 7 three-pointers for Trey Murphy in the final 15 minutes of the game. And that's how all of a sudden you see your 12-point lead erased. Did the Grizzlies, lose it? Or did the Pelicans take it? I think this is the Pelicans took it. Yeah, the Grizzlies turned the ball over 8 times in the final 15 minutes. That's not great. They didn't shoot a very good percentage. But they did enough to win, I think. If your opponent goes 9 out of 10 in the final 15 minutes of the game, 9 out of 10 from 3 in the final 15 minutes, that's tough. The Pelicans scored 51 points in the final 15 minutes. The turning point, if you want to call it that, Kenneth Lofton Jr. missed a layup on an offensive rebound opportunity. Then he stole the ball after the missed layup, went into the corner, had an open corner three. Maybe he should have pulled it back out, got a little better look. And then Trey Murphy went off. And then, of course, after all this happens, where the Pelicans seize the lead, the Grizzlies are down by 6 in the final seconds. And the Grizzlies have a miracle rally in regulation. Dillon Brooks hits his 5th three-pointer of the game and gets fouled with 5 seconds left. The Grizzlies are down by 6. In the final 10 seconds, they don't have any timeouts. Dillon hits a 3 and gets fouled. He misses the free throw on purpose. But the Pelicans get the rebound. Actually, it's a lane violation. So lane violation on Dillon Brooks for entering the lane early, crossing the free throw line. Then Tyus Jones draws an offensive foul on Brandon Ingram. The Grizzlies get the ball back. The Pelicans foul on purpose. Bane makes 1 free throw, misses the second on purpose. Jaren gets the offensive rebound, gets fouled, makes both free throws, and you have a miracle rally to erase a 6-point lead in the final seconds. But then you go to overtime, and the Pelicans have a 10-0 run to start overtime. And so you lose, and maybe a lot of people are crestfallen and upset. In normal circumstances, I feel like I would be just crushed. It didn't feel like normal circumstances. The game was so weird. My expectations going in was I had been prepared to think a Pelicans loss is actually good for the Grizzlies. So now I'm having difficulty changing gears. And because there were so many good offensive performances, because Dillon looked great, because Tyus looked great, because Bane continues to play really, really well, because Jaren had an unbelievably good game, because the bench and the rookies played well, I took that as more of a positive. I don't think this loss, despite the fact it was a familiar pattern where the Grizzlies got outscored down the stretch, the Grizzlies lost another double-digit fourth-quarter lead. I don't think this loss reflects much of anything about the team. Now, I can say that and also say I'm not super optimistic about the Grizzlies in the playoffs this year, but I don't think this loss specifically means that much. It was a weird game against a absolutely desperate Pelicans team. If the Pelicans lost this game, that was going to be a horrific loss. A horrific loss. They had the rest advantage. They were playing at home. They're trying to avoid falling down to the 10 seed in the play-in. The Grizzlies weren't playing Ja Morant, Luke Kennard, and Xavier Tillman, already missing Steven Adams. The Pelicans, if they had lost this game, that would have been a really, really bad loss. So because of all of that, I just feel kind of like, that was weird. And maybe I'm less upset about it than maybe some of you guys are. Also, the Grizzlies got helped on Wednesday night where the Mavericks, with their season on the line, defeated the Sacramento Kings. So the Grizzlies' magic number for clinching the 2 seed is down to 1. Any Grizzlies win or Kings loss means the Grizzlies are the 2 seed. The Grizzlies play on Friday night at the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have nothing to play for. And then on Sunday, they play at the Thunder. The Thunder might have everything to play for. They are trying to make the postseason over the Dallas Mavericks. They need to win to make the postseason. I mean, at least I think they're trying to make the postseason. Some of the conspiracy theorists out there, including myself, are wondering if the Thunder would rather have a 7% chance at jumping up in the lottery as opposed to making the play-in. But the Grizzlies, I think, they're going to end up with that 2 seed, and they're just resting, trying to get healthy for the postseason. That's the most important thing. So because of that, maybe we don't have to get too up in arms or fret about this strange loss. Those are my adjectives. Strange, odd, wild. Those are the words I'd use to describe this game. Weirdly, here's some weird stats. The Grizzlies have now lost 2 games in a row when scoring 130 or more points. This game and the game last Wednesday against the Clippers. Before that, they had won 26 straight games when they scored 130 or more. Part of that, I mean, it's just a random stat, but part of that, I think, goes to what I was talking about last episode, that the character and the nature of this team is just a little bit different now. They are depending on offense first right now as opposed to defense. They're depending more on three-pointers, less on forced turnovers. Although this game specifically was more characteristic of what we know from the Grizzlies over the past few seasons. The Grizzlies had massive points in the paint. They got 70 paint points. They got a lot of second chance points. They got a lot of offensive rebounds. They forced turnovers. But, of course, they were shorthanded in the front court. Santi Aldama left this game with an elbow injury. I guess that's a big bit of news. Larry Nance Jr. hyperextended Santi Aldama's elbow. It looked to me to be an extremely dirty play. I don't know what the excuse is for that. I don't know why that's not a flagrant foul. Aldama had his arm over Nance. Nance then just bends his arm the wrong way. Non-basketball play after the play's over. And Aldama gets injured and leaves the game. So the Grizzlies were extremely shorthanded, having to play David Roddy a lot as power forward. Roddy played a career-high 38 minutes. A lot of solid plays from Roddy. Had 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. But even with Roddy playing well, doing all you can ask of him, even with Lofton playing well off the bench, doing all you can ask of him, you're probably going to give up some points if you have to play that shorthanded in the front court. You have to play that much small ball. I mean, maybe there's a trade-off where there's no Ja Morant, no Luke Kennard, means a defensive boost on the perimeter. I mean, I believe that. The more Tyus minutes, the more Conchar minutes. You know, that's a defensive plus probably for the Grizzlies overall. Even if you're losing talent, you're losing scoring. But losing Aldama too, and now just having Jaren, Jaren and Jr. as your two bigs is kind of a difficult ask for the Grizzlies. But let's talk about the individual performances a little bit more. Dillon Brooks came out strong in the first half, had 14 points in the first half. He finished with 25 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and, of course, a foul out. Dillon's last 10 games now, he is 27 for 64 on three-pointers. That is 42%. We will take that. Of course, that's awesome. Awesome numbers from Dillon Brooks. Pre-All-Star break, the 50-something games before the All-Star break, Dillon was shooting 31% from 3 with 1.8 makes per game. Post All-Star break, he's up to 36.9% from 3. That's 20 games. That's basically 37%. That's above average 3-point shooting. Over 2 makes per game. Really, really good there. Here's a fact that snuck up on me. Dillon is going to finish this season with the third most 3-point attempts in a season in franchise history. He's currently 1 3-point attempt behind Juan Carlos Navarro. The highest 2 3-point attempt seasons in franchise history are Desmond Bane last year and Mike Miller in 2007. So you got a huge game from Dillon Brooks. Jaren Jackson Jr., like I said, 40 points. It's the second 40-point game of his career. This is the second most points in a game he's ever had. He joined Ja Morant and Mike Miller and Pau Gasol as the only players with multiple 40-point games in franchise history. Jaren continues to be a mismatch, a nightmare for the other team on both offense and defense. Desmond Bane had 24 points and 5 assists. He fouled out in overtime. This was Desmond's 21st game of the season with at least 20 points and 5 assists. That is the 7th highest single season total in franchise history. It only trails all 4 of Ja Morant's seasons and 2 Mike Conley seasons. Desmond Bane, this was his 8th straight game with 20 points or more. That's a career best streak for him. It's tied for the 9th longest streak of scoring 20 or more in Grizzlies franchise history. Here's another fun stat that I didn't think about. Desmond Bane is going to finish this year with the 4th highest points per game season in franchise history. First is Ja Morant this season, because last year's Ja Morant season did not count in the official record books because he didn't play enough games. So first is Ja Morant this season. 2 and 3 are Sharif Abdur-Rahim back in the Vancouver days. and Bane's going to be fourth. Another way to say it, Ja Morant and Desmond Bane this season are posting officially the 2 highest point per game seasons in the Memphis Grizzlies era. Tyus Jones had an excellent game to bounce back from his 0 for 6 night on Tuesday. He had 13 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals. Tyus Jones and Luka Doncic are the only players this season to have a game with at least 13 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals. The only players in franchise history to post those stats in a game, at least those numbers. Mike Bibby and Pau Gasol. So Tyus Jones in this game statistically did something that Ja Morant's never done, Mike Conley's never done. The 4 steals Tyus Jones got moved him past Kyle Anderson for 14th in franchise history in most steals. So again, all these individual performances, and it was just an exciting shootout, all those performances make me extremely happy. I mean, John Conchar had a heck of a game. Throwback Conchar performance. Conchar had gone 35 consecutive games without scoring double figures. He had 10 points in this one, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. Finally, some of that jitty magic returned. Anyways, I got a couple other things to add to wrap this show up. We'll do that right after this short break. Grizz fans, 2023-2024 Grizzlies season tickets are on sale now. Season tickets are the best way to guarantee your seats to the biggest matchups at the lowest prices all season long, as well as receive early access to 2023 playoff tickets before they go on sale to the general public. For more information, visit grizzlies.com/season tickets or call 901-888-HOOP today. Okay, one of the more enjoyable things about this loss was the play of the rookies. We've seen Roddy have good games before. Roddy has gotten a much bigger opportunity than the rest of the guys. Kenneth Lofton Jr., I think he officially is my favorite Grizzly now. I was fighting it. You guys know I lost my 2 favorite Grizzlies in the offseason. I was basically leaning on choosing Brandon Clark. Now, of course, with the devastating news of his injury, I still find myself wandering aimlessly, kind of adrift, without like a favorite player. I love Bane. I love Jaren. But those guys they're all stars. They're incredible. Everyone likes them. I like to find a more off the beaten path guy. I thought maybe Kenneth Lofton Jr. was too obvious to pick, but it doesn't matter. I'm sticking with him. Yeah, he missed 6 of his 9 field goal attempts, but loved what I saw from him. I loved the assists that he made. He got 3 assists in this game, also 5 rebounds, 3 of them on the offensive glass. Got a steal. I thought Kenneth Lofton Jr. continued to show that when he's on the court, he can hang. He doesn't look out of place whatsoever. He seems pretty good. Now, I don't know how much we'll see of him in the playoffs, if any. I think if healthy, maybe he's not going to play, but I've been encouraged by what I've seen. It's going to be very interesting this coming offseason, what they do about him, because I doubt they will be able to keep him on a 2-way contract, and the Grizzlies don't really have roster space. I mean, they can go ahead and sign him and then carry too many guaranteed contracts into the season. But the Kenneth Lofton Jr. question is going to be very, very interesting this offseason. But I loved Kenneth Lofton Jr.'s game. Also, Kennedy Chandler, have to give him some credit and compliments for what might have been, in my mind, his best game of the year. Now, the stats aren't going to jump off the page. 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. But for the first time, in my estimation, he looked like he belonged out there. I feel like other times he's come in, he's had some good moments, he's done some things, but he seemed skittish, like he was trying to move too fast, like maybe he wasn't calm and under control. And this might just be my own personal bias that I'm watching him with, where I'm like, yeah, that guy's making me nervous. I'm not sure he's at this level of the other players. In this game, he seemed very calm, very collected. The 1 assist he got was absolutely incredible. A beautiful entry pass, like basically the only place you could put it, leading Lofton in for a layup. His bucket was coast to coast, where he got a rebound, just took it, went, and scored. He finished plus 16 in 10 minutes. I know we're not going to get carried away with a single game plus minus, but the Grizzlies were playing, I think, a lineup, their own lineup with all these rookies in Conchar, had a lot less talent than what the Pelicans had, and the Grizzlies outperformed them. Now, I don't expect that lineup to always work. Actually, frankly, I would expect that lineup to usually fail, but they did not this game, and it was really exciting to see that performance. How he develops in the coming season will also, of course, be very, very interesting. And, you think there's a chance they get to play in the final 2 regular season games because might be a little bit of silly business, especially once the Grizzlies lock up the 2 seed. A couple of other stats. Here's some Luke Kennard stats. Luke Kennard did not play in the game, of course, on Wednesday night, but I didn't mention this on the show last episode. But Luke Kennard, in the game against the Trailblazers, where he made 6 threes, he moved past Tony Allen in franchise history for the most three-pointers. In 23 games, Luke Kennard has now made more three-pointers than Tony Allen did in 462 games. He also passed Justin Holiday in that same amount of time. He's now 2 threes behind Dennis Scott, 3 behind Wayne Selden, and 5 behind Byron Scott and Garrett Temple. I remain endlessly amused by tracking his climb up the franchise leaderboard for most made threes. Also, I saw the stat online. I don't know who put it out there, so I can't credit them, but this is very interesting. In 23 games on the Grizzlies, and in 550 minutes played on the Grizzlies, Luke Kennard has already made 14 more threes than he did on the Clippers this year. On the Clippers, he played 720 minutes and 35 games. So 35 games, 720 minutes played. He made 55 threes on the Clippers. In 23 games and 550 minutes played, he's already made 69 threes on the Grizzlies. Finally, last thing, the Washington Post came out with another article about Ja Morant's run-ins with the authorities last summer. I haven't read the article, and I probably won't. Just acknowledging that that is out there. That just dropped as I started recording this episode. If there's something in that story that I need to know, I'm assuming I will probably find it out. As far as announcements, my plan is to stream the final game of the regular season, the Sunday game against the Thunder, in my playback room, playback.tv/fastbreakbreakfast. That is Easter Sunday. It's possible my family travel will interfere with that. Just stay tuned. But again, maybe write that in on pencil in your calendar. I'm planning to stream the final game of the season. And then, of course, as far as watch parties, if you're in the Nashville or Middle Tennessee area, we will be having in-person watch parties at Noble's Beer Hall for the playoffs. Specifically, we will have a watch party for Game 1 of the playoffs. That's either going to be April 15th or 16th. We do not know and will not know until a few days before that exactly when the game is going to be and even who we will play. What fun is that? But make plans to come watch the Grizzlies at Noble's Beer Hall with me. We'll have a watch party for Game 1 and most likely for all of the playoff games, but that will be depending on the schedule as it gets released. Anyways, hope you guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you soon. Go Grizz.